Let's do this here real quick. Make sure I got all my buttons pushed this week. Last week I didn't.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Alrighty. It's a Sunday. It is a Sunday. You know what that means. If I'm on, that means more than likely Dexter is in the house. Dexter is in the house. So, hey.
Brother Mike is in the building.
There he is, people. There he is. Oh, I missed one button. Here we go. This is another reason why we got to get you out. So I fly you to Minnesota so you can fix my board, so I can know what I'm.
Yeah, bro. I got a lot of people tech support visits.
Yeah, you definitely gonna have a tech support visit as soon as you get out. You're coming to Minnesota and you're fixing this dang on thing, because I barely even know. I don't even know what I'm doing half of the time. It's funny. I sit there and say to myself sometimes, why did you even buy something this big? You didn't really need it, but it looked good, Dexter, because it had a bunch of buttons on it. So
there you go.
I don't know what I'm pushing half the time. Straight up, and half the time I have zero clue what I'm pushing. So that's gonna be one of your first. That's gonna be one of your first visits when we get you out. You come in here and spend at least 2 or 3 days, because that's how long it's going to take for you to teach me how to actually use this thing. So your ticket's going to be booked. I'm just letting you know straight up right now. And don't be trying to get out of it. Come on, Rev. You know I just got out. I don't care. This ain't about you anymore. Once you get out, Dex. Once we get you out of there, it's not about you anymore. It's about my board.
I like that.
It's about my board from that point on. Once we get you out of there.
So get that board correct.
Got to get it correct, man. I be begging people, hey, anybody know anything about blah blah the Rogue and all this here? Hey, nobody said anything, but I know somebody who do. So unfortunately, he's a political prisoner right now, and he's locked up. So it's important that I get you out of there. Not because I want you out, because I need help on my board. You're just
keeping it simple and plain.
I'm keeping it real.
I like that. Yeah, brother. That's how it goes sometimes. Shit.
How's it going, Dex? How we doing, man? How we doing? It's been a week.
Yeah, it's been a week. Yeah. Doing all right. We're still in reduced a kind of reduced posture in here, as I was telling Carl before we got on. Things still are back to normal. There's still programs are not running. So again, the only mobility we have is going to Jow and going to Rec, and of course showers. We get showers on the cell block. But other than that, everyone's locked down. But rec yard is good. We've got one rec period a day instead of 2, which is unfortunate. But I've been able to my shoulder is healed now from my injury, so I'm back in the weight pit, every day or every other day, depending. And had a bunch of rain this weekend, so I might skip a day. But I'm back in the weight pit, feeling good, getting my routine back. And of course, reading everything I get my my hands on. And so, just keeping my mind active and talking to people outside. And, it is what it is.
What is your for those who have never been behind walls, locked up or anything of that sort, and especially for people who don't understand that they will lock up innocent people. So let us make sure that we understand where we're going with this. They will lock you up even when you're innocent. But what is your routine? What do you get up in the morning and do what? What?
Get up in the morning, make some coffee. We have hot pots in the cell, right? So I got my hot pot, so I make a big cup of coffee. Then I'll make a meal. Most mornings I don't go to chow. I ear hustling, which is listening out your gate for what people are saying out on the tier. I heard another kind of another inmate who's younger than me, but he's been in for much longer. And he's like, I never go to chow. He's like, the less you go to chow, some shit can happen on the way to the list. It's like, that's an excellent idea. So, because I have a lot of stuff I've bought from commissary and what have you, I got my oatmeal, I got my grits, I got my this, I got my that. I realized, I can just cook in my cell most times. I don't have to go to chow. So usually, get up, make my coffee, make my oatmeal. If I do some exercises, some calisthenics, what have you. And, get into my reading. If I have some reading that I want to get to, I'll start on that. Or maybe I'll hang out on the gate a little bit and shoot the shit with some of the other brothers on the cell block, on the tier. And yeah, that's kind of it. And then, sometimes I may feel, okay, I need to, clean up the stuff a little bit and get my stuff organized, file my papers. I've got a bunch of manila envelopes that I use to keep my papers organized. So, letters, notes, drafts, finance stuff, whatever receipts I get back from commissary or whatever. And, and if we have a rec period that day, when that comes around, I get ready and go to rec. And, when I go to rec, I always hit the weight pit. That's pretty much where I live when we're outside. It's like I live in the weight pit. So yeah, that's kind of the routine. Yeah.
So when you say you don't
get a shower every, say that again?
No, you say you don't go. So you don't like to eat breakfast, or you just don't go eat breakfast because something could pop off.
I eat breakfast. I eat breakfast regularly. I just most times I don't go to chow. And it's like, the reasoning is that the less you go to chow, the less you can get caught up in whatever dumb shit happens. I'm not afraid for my own safety or anything like that, because again, I don't take psychoactive drugs. I don't borrow. I don't steal. I don't play games with people's money, and I don't mix with young bloods. And when I say not young bloods, but young bloods, in their own whatever they do, if they're affiliated, whatever. That's not me. I'm a grown-ass man, but you can still get caught up into foolishness. Like, for example, if you're on the tier, this has happened before, like you're still on the cell block, you haven't even left the cell block yet to go to chow, and a fight breaks out in the hall. The officers are going to come jump out on that, and if they have still spray, they're gonna spray the place down with chili sauce. So if you're outside in the hall, you're gonna get you go get your dose of chili sauce, and then you'll be coughing and hacking and stealing, and you're not gonna enjoy a child after that. So, it's just like you can just kind of just cross off a whole category of trouble and inconvenience if you don't go to chow. So that's my thing. So sometimes if I've been in for a while, if it's been bad weather or what have you, and I haven't gone to rec a few days, then I'll go to chow, like stretch my legs or whatever. Or if they have something particularly good, I might go. If they have the barbecue chicken on, it's like, okay, yeah, we go to chow. But most times, why bother? I can cook and I do cook in myself. been doing lots of food stuff with myself. Like now, I've got a batch of preserved onions that I got sitting here. Getting good. And I've got a new batch of hot pepper sauce that I just made a few days ago that's sitting up here on the heat pipe, getting good. I got friends who work in the mess hall, so they get me things. One brother just got me a couple of potatoes and a beefsteak tomato. So the tomato went into my last dish, a curry beef thing. My other brother, I traded some goods with him for a thing of curry powder. So I've been doing lots of curries lately. And, it's just, that's my thing. I mean, I like to cook it myself. I could experiment, what have you. And the other thing about not going to chow is this. Prison bureaucrats, you start to get a feel for how prison bureaucrats think, right? And of course, the prison is just a giant bureaucracy with bars, right? So, to prison bureaucrats, like their all-consuming nightmare is a bunch of inmates together in one place, without walls between them, right? So, to prison bureaucrats, the chow hall, like meals, are a nightmare. That's how they think. So when you go to chow, it's not like you just roll up in the chow hall, sit where you want, hang out, talk, blah, 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 whatever. No. You need to file in there in whatever order you came out of the block. And where you sit is based on your order in line. That's it. There's no getting up and going sitting someplace else. You can't do that. Once you sit down, you can't get back up. If you forget your spoon or your fork or whatever, they gotta take you out and gotta frisk you and they bring you back in because God forbid you grab this plastic fork and do something with it. It's for real. So and then you have maybe 10 minutes to eat your food and get out. Like once the block officers are ready to go back to the block, they'll say, okay, A1 block or B1 block, let's go. And whatever you're eating at the time, you got to drop it and get up and go, drop your plastic utensil in the receptacle because, again, plastic is a dangerous weapon. And then you learn to go back to the cell. So instead of being, if I cook in my own cell, bro, then it's like I don't have to, I take as long as I want to eat my breakfast, in other words. Which I like, So that's yet another reason just not to go to chow. It's like, I can make something good. I'll take half an hour. I'll take an hour to eat it if I want. And it's much better than having to go and, you can't get up. And it's like, you only got 10 minutes. And the hell with all that. So that's how I do it here.
Okay. Well, that's a nice inside look on pretty much what goes on inside those air type walls with everything. Yeah.
I mean, yes, sir. And I mean, it's different. This Coxsackie is it's a Class A maximum security facility. Class Bs are different. And then medium security facilities are also very different. And then each facility has like its own way, like how they run things, internally. Coxsackie is a particularly restrictive facility. Others, not so much. And again, when you're in the medium, it's a whole different vibe. Like they're like, okay, up in the morning, they open your gate, and it's like you go to chow when you want to go to chow. You just kind of like stroll over there yourself, and check in at the door with your ID and whatever, and you get in and you get out when you're ready. And but like here, it's very like there's no movement that's not controlled, with a very few exceptions. Like if you go out, it's like okay, you're in a line with other guys in green, and you're escorted by an officer, and you're like no talking in the halls, and you got to walk one block off the wall. You have to stay in a line, and that's like man, come on, like I can't be bothered with all that shit. Like. You stay in your cell, read, cook, do what you need to do, and then when you break out to go to rec, you break out to go to rec, and then you're in the yard, you do what you want. So that's kind of how I do things here.
So it's easier. It's easier just to be by yourself on your own.
Yeah, at least for me, that's my thing. It's easier to just be by myself. I mean, I'm very lucky in that, and I've been lucky ever since this whole crazy thing happened. I've been very lucky to be around good people. Um, so it's not even so much the people I'm around. It's like the blue shirts. I mean, not all of them are bad, but then not all of them are good. So it's like some guys power some corrections on this power tripping and doing this and that. And all. But if I'm not out there, I don't have to interact with that. Like because let's face it, any negative interaction with those guys, you as an inmate are going to lose. So if I can avoid all that, just cooking myself, great. The less most times, the less we have to say to each other, the better. Especially when it's in a group hallway situation. A lot of these COs are nervous.
Right.
They got the job nervous. They show up for work nervous, and they leave nervous. So it's like, just that's fine. I'll just keep to myself. And like I said, on the cell block here, we got good people, so there's almost always someone to talk to. With you sit on the gate and your ear hustle. You hear what they're talking about. Talk about life outside. Talk about movies. Talk about with actress, looking correct, with actress not looking correct, all that business. So that's life in here.
So how is your mom and dad and your kid? How are they doing, Dex?
They're good. They're good. I talk to my parents just about every day.
Okay.
And they're doing all right. When I call them, it's like me or how I move. It's like I'm always uppity, right? So when I call them, I keep them laughing, and we always have a good time on the phone. And same thing when I call my daughter, when I call my ex-wife. It's always good. My daughter, I tend to give her a call like on the weekends because I know she has school during the week, and of course when she comes home, she's got homework. So I try not to like call her, on the weeknight when I know she's trying to get homework done and get to bed early. But I'll call her on weekends, and we'll be on the phone for a long time on the weekends.
Sure.
We'll talk about all kinds of stuff. And then, I'll call the ex-wife and find out how she's doing and so on and so forth.
You have 1 minute left.
All my people are good, thank God. So, again, they're good, I'm good. I can relax. If they're okay, I can relax and just deal with what's in front of me. So that's how I do things. I just heard Minute Maid check off about the 1 minute warning, so I'm going to jump off and come right back.
All right, we'll see you on the backside.
All right, bro.
Appreciate you.
The caller has hung up.
All right, for those, again, if you're new here, wondering what's going on, what we're doing here, on Sunday nights, what we try to do is give Dexter an opportunity to come on and speak to the people so everybody know that, those who care about him, we know that he's good, he's doing good, and we're still fighting for him. We want to keep Dexter's name out there as much as we can, and hopefully it gets to someone who cares, someone who is important, because we're not important. We're just peasants. We're just I thought that was pretty funny. I'll wait till Dexter get back on. I'll see if he heard what your vice president J.D. Vance said about the Chinese people. But anyway, we try to get out here and get in front of this thing with Dexter Taylor. So I've got the red hat. I know I got the black hat on. That's pretty funny, Tim. I was thinking of the red hat, but my red one is upstairs. My black, so I got my black one on. I stand with Dexter Taylor. I think Soto said that he only has 3 or 4 of these type hats left. I do believe he sold a lot of them. So he may have to make a few more. I'm just saying. I know a couple people hit me up this week and asked me about them. these hats, the money from the hats go to help Dexter and his fund, legal fund, also. So if only thing we really ever ask anyone to do, we do ask you to purchase his merch, his hat, but if you don't want to do that type of stuff and you say, you know what, I would rather write a letter, Pam Bondi is the Attorney General. And you don't have to write anything long. You don't, write this long security. Only thing I have to do is just put his name on there. Hey, Pam, have you heard of this case with this Dexter Taylor? Right? Hit send. Hit send. That's all you have to do. Done. You've done your part. I mean, if I can get, we usually get about 500-600 people listening to us on a Sunday. Just think the number of people that we have. If we 500 people send this lady an email, she gets emails from 500 people, and she's gonna sit there and go, "Oh, something's got to be important," because this is what I know about politicians. This is what I know about. I may not know much. I probably sit there and go, "He don't know much." You're right, but this is what I do know. The politicians understand numbers. They understand a lot of people. That they understand. And they understand money. And they understand money. Well, we're not going to send them any money, so we got to have a lot of people. So as many people as possible, if you can reach out to someone. Reach out to like I said, to a Pam Bondi or somebody that will listen. That would be awesome. And that's pretty much really all we're asking you to do when it comes to Dexter. Because if you read Dexter's story, I would not for sure. And I know Carl would not for sure because he's an upstanding guy. We would not stand up behind someone that we did not believe in. That we did not see them as being someone who is an upstanding citizen. Dexter Taylor, he has parking tickets, we found out last week. But other than his parking tickets, the man has never been to jail. The man is not a felon. He's not a murderer. He's not an alcoholic. He's not a druggie. He's none of those things. But here he is sitting in prison right now because the Democrats in the state of New York wanted to make an example out of him. That is the truth in what when I read it, that's what I read. That's what I see. So I think Dexter's back. Are you back?
Yes, sir.
There he is. All right.
Yeah.
So I was just.
I heard you about to call on the Democrats.
Man. They've lost their they bend and lost their mind, but they're just it's just too much, bro. It's too much, Dexter.
They lost their whole mind. Yeah, they lost their whole mind. Absolutely. I mean, that's just what it is. I heard you talking about how the Democrats wanted to make an example. That's not an exaggeration. I mean, the Brooklyn, when my case, which should never have been a case in the first place, after I got indicted, but long before I actually went to trial, the Brooklyn DA got up on a hot mic talking about we're going to make an example of Dexter Taylor. I'm like, oh, okay. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, let's do that. Let's talk about this case as much as possible, because when everyone understands the facts of this case, it's going to be an example, all right. It's going to be an example of your manifest failure to do your job correctly, 100%. First of all, why is the Brooklyn DA making prejudicial statements about a case that is that's in process? Why? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. But all that's fine. They're going to do what they do. And I'm just, waiting and praying for the day when that DOJ task force, that civil rights task force, starts to look into New York State's affairs. think they'll find plenty to occupy their time, which is good for us, you know. But yeah, that's what it is, man. You know, if you got these states, these Democrat-run states and cities that don't respect the Second Amendment, and it works for them because what they can do is they can go in people's houses and go in people's pockets or whatever, and they can kind of chalk up all these paperwork felonies. You know, you didn't have a permit. You didn't ask the state for permission to exercise your rights. You didn't have a permit. We're really, cracking down on violent crime. No, you're cracking down on objects. That's what you're doing. I mean, you're not supposed to have this object because we said so. We don't care what the Constitution said. You're not supposed to have this object, so we're going to lock you up, and we're going to count that as a violent felony. We're going to count merely having a weapon in your house as a violent felony. So yeah, we just looked up a violent felony. Yeah, okay, all right, no problem. Yeah, so that's life. That's life in a blue state, unfortunately. But these things don't last forever. When your adversary is overconfident, that's when they start to overplay their hand. And I'm not going to jinx it, but it may be that with this particular case, they finally overplayed their hand. It may be that with this case, they finally run up against a test case that doesn't match their template. Usually, they snatch up somebody for weapons possession. It's in the street, which is a different question than in your house, and it's someone who doesn't look good on paper, right? Maybe they got a burglary, maybe they got some drug possession stuff earlier, maybe they're affiliated, or whatever. Okay. That person doesn't look good on paper, so it's easy for them to just, you've got this mandatory minimum, you've got to plead down. But in my case, it's like, yeah, I look good on paper, and I didn't plead. I'm like, I can read the Constitution, I can read the Bill of Rights, I know what it says, I know what the Supreme Court said, and no, I'm not going to take your plea deal, and I didn't take that plea deal, and I didn't like that.
Yeah,
but so be it. So be it. Like I tell my mom all the time, like, don't worry, I could drink this cup. I could drink this cup. No problem. I can drink this cup.
Well,
because I got good people on the outside looking out for me. I got a great legal team, and for the first time in living memory, we have an executive branch that is really acting in a way that suggests they're fully committed to the Second Amendment. That's awesome. So yeah, the trends are all in our favor. It's just patience. That's all we need, patience.
Right. Let me do this real quick. For those asking how you can get one of these here hats, you can get it either in black or you get it in red. And the guy you want to contact, his name is Sig Soto. That's at SIG_SOTO. Again, his name is Sig Soto at SIG_SOTO. So you better hurry up and hit him up. But I don't know how many he has left. Like I just said, he may have to make a few more. So I know the last time someone asked me about it and I sent him over there, he was saying he had like 2 or 3 left, and that was about it. I don't know which colors, but we may have to get him to make a few more for a good run here. But that's who you want to get these here hats from. Okay, thank you very, very much for asking and wanting to buy one. So we so appreciate you for that and things of that sort. So hey, I like I was telling you today, man. I had before we got on. I mean, I was knocked out, man. I heard my phone. My wife hit me up when my phone was ringing. And said, "Your phone's ringing." But I hadn't written down. Usually, I write down stuff that that you and I we tend to knock out on on Sundays. I did not have a chance to do that. But one of the things that I definitely want to have a conversation with, I know you've been keeping up. Have you been keeping up with the tariff?
Yes, I have. And that's funny because that's the first thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah. That's one of the things that about the only thing that I got for tonight. So,
Yes, sir.
But yeah. Go ahead and give me your 2 cents on those on what happened.
Well, it's last week, Tuesday, I was on a space with Carl and Joe and them, Joe Lemieux and them.
Yeah.
And I was talking. The subject matter was, I think you popped into that one.
Yep.
And the subject matter was, the economics of Trump 2.0. And of course, one of the things I mentioned was the tariffs. And I said then that what we would probably, tariffs are never an end in themselves. They're usually something that you do, that a president does, president imposes, because you want something, right? He wants to make a deal with someone. So, and I predicted that, like, for example, the European nations would be very willing to come to the table and negotiate these tariffs away. And so far, it's looking like that is actually happening. Like, they've been sending, the EU sent its top trade delegate, is to do kind of shuttle diplomacy back and forth between Europe and the U.S., trying to figure out how to work out a deal. There's rumors about a 0-for-0 arrangement that they might come to. No tariffs on either side, because you have to remember that many of these nations actually already had tariffs on American goods which were inbound to their nations. So if they decide to drop those tariffs to 0, and we drop ours on them to 0, then that ends up that's a win for us. I believe Trump also is trying to get some natural gas into that deal, where these nations start to buy some more of our liquefied natural gas. But I think even a 0-for-0 deal by itself is a good thing. Vietnam is also very interested in getting those tariffs down to 0. They've been sending their people. They're very open to getting rid of this stuff. So most of the nations that have been targeted are in negotiation mode, which is good. China's a different story. One, because China's so big, they've just got a lot more. They've been bringing up more muscle to the table. So I think it's too soon to tell how it's going to shake out with China, and that is a potential real problem, because look, one area in which I definitely agree with Trump is that I want to see more American manufacturing, more domestic manufacturing. We have to be honest, though. That can't happen overnight. It's not just a matter of buying the machines, right? It's not just a matter of someone opening a factory. It turns out that you need a lot of, especially when you're making kind of high precision electronics and things like that, you need a lot of qualified people. A lot of people that America really hasn't been turning out over the past few decades. Tooling engineers and, tool and die guys and, automation specialists and people like that. It's a very, just making a factory, just creating a facility that can churn out these goods is its own craft and its own science. And part of the problem is that we've allowed that knowledge to kind of go away. And China's been working on that this whole time. We unfortunately got caught up in this whole lie that ideas, that innovation drives production. But as a matter of fact, production drives innovation. Like having to make stuff, to a given quality standard, and to given deadlines and so on. So having to do that, that's what forces you to solve new and interesting problems, and then you get better, and then you're in a position to be able to innovate. But it's because you have all the stuff there. This notion that all we're going to do in America is just sit back and come up with ideas and let let some poor slobs in some other country actually build those things. I think that's been bad for us, but that's where we are. And so, yeah, you can't. You simply there's no one, not enough people to fully staff, to fully design and build and staff a phone factory in the U.S. It just can't happen right now. Should we move toward that? Yes, but that's going to take time. So we got to see what side it does and what have you. Because Trump tends to bluster and make all these big public statements or what have you. It's going to be tricky, right? Because no one wants to lose face, especially with the Chinese. That's a big thing over there, obviously. But for everyone else, yeah, I mean, these nations want to come to the table. Another thing I was thinking about was that Trump. You see, Trump just got into office, right? He was inaugurated in January. It's April, so he knows under our system he's good for the next 4 years. A lot of these other countries, especially like the Western so-called democracies, if they're parliamentary, the prime minister is not necessarily good to go for 4 years. He may face a no confidence vote if his economy starts to go south. Some other countries, maybe whoever's running the government there didn't just get into office. Maybe they got an election coming up this year or next year or a year after. So the timing of this thing is as good as it could possibly be for us, for America. And again, what needs to happen now is some aggressive deal making. So that's one. I'll say another thing, and then I'd like to get your take. Is that what I noticed is that look, when American hypercapital and American government started to push globalization, that's what they called it, right? We're gonna have all these policies that are designed to gut American manufacturing and move it overseas to the benefit of big capital. Everyone was inclined and still is inclined to kind of gloss over, right, the pain that has caused and does cause to kind of manufacturing-based communities all across this country. Everybody was like, "Hey, it's just part of the thing. Don't worry, globalization is awesome." Okay, now that people's portfolios are getting affected, which means that people with a lot of money now actually have some skin and are now feeling some of that pain along with the rest of us, because of course ordinary working class people, your pension, your 401k, that can still lose value. Yep. But now the fat cats are also feeling the pain. Now it's this is terrible and now everyone's worried about a trade war. What's Trump's trade war going to do? Now, again, I'm not saying that I'm not willing to kind of carry water for any president. So I'm not willing to say that it's definitely going to be a good move and everything's going to work out great. I don't know. It can work out great, and I hope it does. But all I'm saying is I notice how now, all of a sudden the media is very much like everyone's very nervous. Everyone's very worried. Everyone's like, "Oh, what are we going to do?" And the other thing I'll say, and then I'll land, is that I don't notice if this is Trump's trade war. And even the AP Newswire, the Reuters Newswire, Trump's trade war. What's Trump's trade war going to do? It's terrible. And these same media people, right, who are all hysterical about the fact that Trump started a quote-unquote trade war, they don't get this nervous when American presidents start real wars. That's the other thing that just occurred to me this past week. When American kids get sent over to be shot at by the worst people in the world, these guys don't get all nervous. They're not this hysterical, But somehow a trade war, something that can actually be made to go away with some kind of negotiations without a shot being fired, it's the end of days, according to these people. So, I'm like, in my opinion, they're kind of full of it. And again, because they're full of it doesn't mean that everything Trump does is great and whatever, and there's not going to be any problem. There's no risk. I'm not saying this, but I'm saying they're still full of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Show some more worry when some president wants to start dropping bombs and putting troops on the ground and stuff, and putting our children in harm's way. And calm the fuck down about trade wars. Relax. Just take a breath. You know what I'm saying? And see what's going on. And like I said, most nations in the world that are talking about these tariffs, with the exception of China, are, their posture, at least for this past week, has been, we're ready to work with you. Come on, let's go. Because again, a trade war hurts everybody. And because our economy is bigger and more robust and more diversified than a lot of economies, it'll hurt us. It'll still hurt us, but it'll hurt us less. So it's in their interest to negotiate. It looks like they are negotiating. So let's wait and see. And that's it.
I'm gonna go with the whole situation when it comes to the stock market. All right. I think just off the bat there, looking at it, saying that I don't think that he calculated enough to realize just what he was doing to the stock market. And if he did, and he realized what he was doing to the stock market, and a lot of people got rich, and then one of those people wasn't me, then that's another bad situation that goes there, right? For him to throw in these tariffs, the stock market plummets, and then the rich people pull or buy, and then he goes, "Oh, I was just joking. I'm going to hold those off for 90 days, and the stock market goes back up." And then those people who are able to move money or have big time money in the stock market, made a boatload of money, like he said. That was his words, right? So he's playing with the American people there. When China is basically sitting there saying, we don't really care what you guys think. We don't really care what you guys do at this point in time. Hold on one second. I always like to read. It says, I still have this dang hat. I want to get it to Dexter. Dude, just send it to me. I mean,
wait, Rev. I told him to send it to Carl. Carl will get it to me.
Okay. All right. So, WIB, get it over to Carl, and then Carl's going to send it to Dexter. If you can get in touch with Carl.
Yeah, to my people.
Yeah. Get in touch with Carl, and then Carl will definitely get it to Dexter for you, man. And we appreciate you, though. I just want you to know we definitely appreciate you. Don't ever think that we don't appreciate anybody that decides to go out of their way to put shine a light on what's going on with Dexter Taylor. So, bro, thank you so much for that. But yeah, let's get in touch with Carl. He said, let's get in touch with Carl, and then Carl's gonna get it to Dexter. So again, brother, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for taking your time, and I'm sure that wasn't an easy task for you to do that, right?
Getting all those signatures, that was a real bit of work there,
Yeah,
and it's very cool. It's very cool to have all those signatures. So funny. Some of the people who signed my hat, signed that hat. I used to watch those people when I was on the outside. You know what I'm saying? I used to I watch this guy,
right?
Or like I'm a fan of this guy. So I think it's really cool that's there. Good stuff.
Yeah.
So, thank you, brother.
Yep. So we definitely, like I said, we definitely appreciate that. Thank you very much for going
100%.
out of your way of doing that. But if you can get in touch with Carl, who is on the back end of this every Sunday, Carl is the one. When y'all see stuff go out, he's putting things out. He's tweeting his space out. He's getting you guys into the space to give us somebody that we can also talk to. You can listen to the things we said. So that's what Carl does, and so we so appreciate Carl for being part of this here, which is definitely awesome to him. And again, like I always have to say, Uncle Dexter and Uncle Rev says hi to the wifey and the our new little nephew that we got. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Always have to add that. Yeah. But China right now, I don't know if you were able to see some of those AI images that China has been putting out about America. Have you seen any of those?
No, I haven't seen.
Oh my God!
We don't have actual internet. We just get the news wires. But look, let me say this about China. Again, we expect them to come out very aggressively in public statements. We expect that because again, it's China. Okay, China is a superpower. I mean, they just are.
But we borrowed. We also got to remember we owe China money.
But it's not that simple because that debt, right? You say that debt is worth something to China, and it is kind of. But at the end of the day, they can't just dump all the debt. Like in other words, they have to play ball. But again, it's China, so. In public statements, they are going to say things that are very kind of aggressive and like we don't care and da 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 da. But you always have to remember that there's high channel, there's low channel, or there's front end and there's back channel. So while people are going back and forth and saying da 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 da, this will not be tolerated, it's like almost certainly it is a 99% that there's people on the back end actually getting on the phone and so they're having to work this out. Because at the end of the day, China was also looking to get paid, and this kind of thing hurts their pocket too. That's just how it is, right? We have to remember, for example, that China has a lot of land mass, but a lot of the land mass they can't use, they can't grow food on. China grows a lot of livestock. A lot of which needs soybeans, for example. Not to mention that just soybeans are a big part of the Chinese food supply as food products. Okay, America is one of the biggest exporters of soybeans in the world. Okay, American agriculture is very productive, and we're also a leading grain exporter. A lot of that grain goes to China. Again, China's got land mass, but again, in terms of arable lands. It's not, the situation isn't as good with them as you might think, simply because they're so big. So they need to play ball. And the question is, will they or not? I think they will. Would it be nice if Trump wasn't like in the media blustering about like China better do this? And yes, it would be better because again, the more aggressive your opening statements are, the more difficult it is to figure out a deal because then someone has to climb down and look bad in public. So I get all that. But China wants to play ball too. I'm certain of it. Now, will they get a deal with China? I don't know. I make no prediction. But, that's what it is. Now, let me respond to something else you said about the stock market. Here's the thing about the stock market. Okay. First of all, again, it's not just fat cats with money that are betting on the stock market. It's also, people's pensions, their annuities, their 401ks. A lot of these things, all these financial instruments, are linked to some kind of index fund, some kind of basket of stocks, or whatever. The stock market limits, then your instrument, your portfolio, whatever you've got, is going to suffer. But here's the good news. The good news is that, like most, it's not like the financial institution that's got your 401k. It's not like they're doing a bunch of day trading necessarily. If it's an institution with sense, all they're trying to do is beat inflation and maybe plus a stock market recovers those points, your value recovers as well. Because no 401k, no fund manager is going to just start dumping stocks wholesale just because the stock market ticker dip. That's one. Two, let me say this. Remember that so much of the activity on Wall Street right now is highly speculative, right? I mean, you could argue just buying a stock is speculation, but I mean, second and third order speculation, like, betting on a bet that is itself a bet on another bet. That's what I mean. Derivatives and stuff like that. Because that's the way the stock market works now, which is not the way it worked 60 years ago or 100 years ago. It means that, what that means is like a dip in the stock market doesn't mean the same thing for the economy that it would have meant 60 years ago. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. So much of the trading there is done by machines. You have high frequency trading, you got other stuff, you got these institutional, these hedge funds, you got money managers, so on and so forth. And there's a lot of speculative activity. Speculative activity is known to do this thing where it introduces kind of a volatility. So I don't think just because the stock market drops, that's quote unquote bad for America. And of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that the tariffs will end up being good for America. I just think it's too soon to tell. Again, if, let's say the EU, let's say all the EU nations come up with some kind of 0 for 0 tariff deal.
You have 1 minute left.
During this 90-day period, then that's a net win for us. Again, China's its own matter, but China also wants to play ball. The question is, does the Trump administration have the diplomatic moves to actually make those deals happen? And, maybe they do. But again, I just think it's too soon to tell. I just heard Minute Maid again, so I'm gonna drop and come back.
Sounds like a deal.
Yeah, yes, sir.
The caller has hung up.
All righty. That's Dexter Taylor on the other end of this here. For those who don't know what we do on Sundays, we have Sundays with Dexter Taylor. For those who don't know who Dexter Taylor is sitting in prison right now. He's actually calling us from behind prison walls right now, and we get the opportunity to have a conversation with him and things of that sort. So it helps a little bit both, because we definitely want to hear from him. We definitely want to keep him up in spirits and things of that sort while, he sits in a prison that he shouldn't be in, sitting there. For those who are here in Minnesota, I just want you to save the date for the Rosedale Mall. What we do is I'm affiliated with a organization, and that organization have young entrepreneurs. And what we do is we teach kids from a business sense, from the start to finish. They have to have a business plan. They have to show us their business plan. They got to show us how they're going to make money off of their business plan, the whole nine. And so we find spaces where they can sell their product. And on May 3rd, next month, May 3rd, at the Rosedale Mall, we will have all those. Right now, I think we have 19 kids going into this one this month. So that's huge. That is huge. And like I said, it's for these kids. I mean, they make bracelets, they make candy, they have the popcorn stuff that they make. Some of them knit, some of them make all types of stuff. It's really, really, really cool to get these kids to do this. Number one, it gets them off the streets. So that's awesome in itself. And give them an opportunity to know what it's like to run a business, to be young entrepreneurs. And we teach them this, and then we set them out and let them sell their products. So we will be in the Rosedale Mall on May 3rd. That's Saturday. So please, ma'am and sir, if you're in Minnesota, please circle that date and then come out and support the kids and what they do. So we're asking that for you. And another thing to let you guys know, our chess team. Yep, We have kids that we take across the state that play in chess tournaments. Our chess teams will be in Robbinsdale in a couple of Saturdays, and we've got I think 11 kids that's going to be participating and competing in the chess tournament. So I just go and watch. I couldn't tell you, some of them kids will wipe the board with me, so I don't even get on the board with them. I just watch what they do. But we do have a group of kids that's going to be doing that. So we are doing things and getting ready for the summer with these kids, and then we're rolling out, the hot dog stand and things of that sort. But anyway, back to Mr. Dexter Taylor there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. By the way, I think it's great stuff you're doing out there. Our conservative brethren and our Republican brethren really need to do some more, do a listening tour and start,
they won't.
Showing up in places like you are and listening to people like you. Yeah, I know
they won't. I mean,
too bad for them. Yes.
And that's and I'm glad you said that, Dexter. And that's the sad part about it.
Sir.
It's not as if I haven't extended my hand to them. So I want people to know that it's not as like I have not extended my hand to them. They just keep slapping it away.
Well, yeah. See, this is the thing. See, I'm like clockwork with this, man. I was like, I'm always going on Republicans, but with good reason. Look, they're always saying, "Oh, well, we can't." The reason we don't go to cities is because we know we wouldn't get a good reception. Well, no. You don't. If you don't know, it's because you don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's plenty of people like you. There's plenty of people like Corbin, what's her face, Ty, from Chicago Red. People who are really out there doing the work. People like Freddie Johnson, who are out there doing the work. Doing the brain work. Talking to people about these concepts. Talking to people about the real history of the parties. Talking to people about coalition building, what have you. Sonny Johnson was at CPAC 1 year, right? So what's the excuse? Marge Touré was at CPAC at least 1 year. What's the excuse? There is no excuse. Right? The problem is that unfortunately for conservatism, right? Unfortunately for conservatism, many conservatives are in this kind of echo chamber where they're just repeating some bullshit that the usual suspects said about how they can't make any traction in cities. I'm sorry. It's bullshit. That's what it is. Okay? It's like, if you don't know, it's because you don't want to know.
There you go.
I'll go back to what I said when I was on the outside, and your boy Ben Shapiro was talking some more of that bullshit that he likes to talk. I'm just getting started. No, but Ben Shapiro was talking some nonsense. It's like, and then he had some kind of thing where he went to downtown Philly. He got his dose of urban porn, urban disaster porn, and all these people are falling out behind fentanyl in the streets, and it's so terrible, and it's this and it's that, and I'm sitting back going, well, okay. Ben Shapiro was in Philly, but he didn't go talk to Marge Touré. He didn't go to the Solutionary Center. Why not? Oh, maybe he didn't know. It's your job to know. Here's a person who was doing free firearms training and civics training from a conservative perspective, right? But from a patriotic perspective, from a two-way perspective, serving the people of his city. You didn't go to visit him. Why? Because you don't care, because you don't want to know. Okay, well, I can't help you if you don't want to know. If you want to know, I can show you where. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I can point you to some people if you want to know. But if you don't want to know, right, what grassroots conservatism and grassroots conservatives are actually doing in black communities across this country. If you don't want to know, I can't help you, bro. You just got to do your thing. Well, whatever, And so, yeah, man, Reverend, some days, man, I'm
Right.
like, I just like the excuse making, it started to get to me. I'm like, you've given up. Oh, you've given up. Okay, well, something, go home. Like, fine, give up. Because the way I look at it, right, is that I'm listen, when you get on the phone with me, when my people get on the phone, they don't hear me crying about this and that and about how it's all over and we're all done and all we have to do is just, you don't hear me talking about that at all. You don't hear me talking about giving up, ever. And I'm in prison.
Right.
So there is no excuse. There is no excuse I will accept. I'm just right now, listen, brethren, Republicans, conservatives, whatever you call yourself, you need to consolidate your gains. Okay? Republicans made gains in this last election, in the last presidential election. Wonderful. Consolidate those gains. Start making connections with the people who should be your natural allies. And don't come with some bullshit. Don't come with some tired-ass lines about the plantation and then, well, I'm not hear all that shit. Come with some ideas. Come with some conservative ideas. Come with some business ideas. Come with some, okay, how can we take advantage of come with something. Come with something real, but be a real conservative. Don't be some nanny stater, okay, who likes to talk conservative when it's out in the county, and then you come to the city and like, the solution here is more government. You don't want to say that shit. If that's how it is, people might as well vote for Democrats. President, if you come to the city, right? If you come to New York City as a conservative, and all you want to talk about is expanding government, people can just speak to Democrats if they want that. I mean, why take a chance? We know the Democrats want more government. Okay. So come with some real ideas, but come in a mode where you're ready to listen and, pay attention to, grassroots conservatism is doing a lot of things around this country and a lot of places where black folks live. And to me, this is good because I want conservatism to win. I want these liberals and progressives that are destroying our American cities, I want them to lose.
And you're
not going to lose by magic.
Right.
Huh?
But here's the thing, Dex. You would think that they would see exactly what you're just saying, right? You would think that there is enough people now that are saying, give us something different, give us something new, right?
Right.
And because the one thing that I always say is, if you think about it, I mean, if brass knuckles, right? If you think about it, black people are truly and has always been a conservative group of people. We have always been that. We get lumped, in there with the Democrat way this, the Democrat, because of the switch and all that. But still, on the inside of us, on inside of every black person is a conservative person, because we've 100%. Always said, give it to us and leave us alone and watch what we do to it, right?
Get out the way. Don't give it to me. Get out of the way.
Right. Exactly. Give it to me and get out of the way.
No, but let me show you something, Reverend. Here's how they do, right? They'll go and they'll run a poll against 2,000 college students, 2,000 black grad students.
Yeah.
Well, listen, 2,000 people who've just been indoctrinated by the broken higher education system, right? Well, of course they're going to tell you a bunch of liberal progressive bullshit. Go talk to people who work for a living. You know, or they'll go in, they'll do a copy and paste from Black Twitter and be like, well, you see, they're still voting for the Democratic Party. Yeah, go and talk to, look, Black Twitter is not a demographic. Black Twitter is not a demographic.
Yeah.
Black union members, Black trade union members in New York City is a demographic. Black electricians in New York City, that's a demographic. Black HVAC techs in New York City or any other city, that's the demographic. Black homeowners, black business owners, that's the demographic. Look at all the people who are paying property taxes. Start there. If you listen, if you're too incompetent to find the conservatives on social media, and you have to be pretty incompetent not to be able to find the black conservatives on social. But okay, let's say that you just. Well, I don't know. You broke your fingers and now you can't type Jeff Charles in, or you can't type something. Okay, but you can start with all the people who pay property taxes. Why? Because it's easy for young people to be conservative, to be liberal and progressive when they don't own anything. Once they get a little something together, they start owning some land, they own a house, they're paying property taxes. They have something to defend against the state. You wouldn't be surprised. You and I wouldn't be surprised at how quickly people shift over. Whoa, wait a minute. All this thing about spending and new programs and this and that, this is affecting us. And all of a sudden, you find that they're that much more receptive to the conservative message. So even if you have no idea who Sonny Johnson is, which to me is unforgivable, you could just start there. You just say, well, who owns property? Let me see the property owner demographic here. Okay, maybe these guys are ready to hear something about less government. Let me see. Bro, I used to live in Bed-Stuy, and even when I lived in Bushwick, I'd go to the Home Depot in Bed-Stuy all the time. Their weekends, you should see how many black folks are in there buying building supplies. Rev, this is how I know that the usual suspects are full of shit. Because I've seen it. I'm not a tourist, right? I've walked around these streets. I've been in Home Depot on a Saturday morning, and I've seen people buying lumber, buying garden supplies, buying that. What does that tell you? I have to care about the place where they live. Huh? That tells you they're invested in place. They have something to protect. Maybe they'd like to hear from someone who's interested in helping them protect it. But the politicians and the influencers and so on, at some point, someone's got to show up and start talking. And so, yeah, I have had it. I've had it with all these online conservatives who are only good at raising money. Let's face it, only good at doing fundraisers. And yes, they're very good at it. Look, don't short them. They're very good at going and talking to a bunch of liberal grad students. You know what I'm saying? And getting clicks and raising money. They're very good at that. Retail politics, not so much. So that's what I'd say to that. I could rant forever, but our time is limited, so I'll let it there. But yeah, man, I'm very grateful for people like you out there who are keeping the faith and who are really showing what can be done, in places like where you live. And I'm just hoping that eventually we get some true populist conservatives who haven't lost their guts, who are actually willing to fight. That's what it's like that. Maybe that's the problem. It's just like I just have a thing about wasting time, because of where I am, and time spent with losers is wasting time. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in losers and loser talk. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I want to hang out with the people who want to win and who want to fight. That's what I care about. Because these liberals are out of control. These progressives are out of control. Okay, so that sounds like a fight to me. I'm up for that. But not everyone is, so whatever.
All right. Well, at the end of the day, what I've noticed is the Republicans will go out there and find them, they're blacks, and their blacks are the ones who run around and call themselves speaking for the community, and their blacks
right.
never come into the community to do anything, right, or to say anything, but yet their blacks will tell you about the black people in that community, which cracks me up. Because funny, which I didn't see this in 2024, or I probably would have ripped this bingo card up, because I did not have on my bingo card that I would be agreeing with Nick Fuentes, of all people. Yeah, I trust me.
Oh man, Rev, you gonna have to explain that.
Oh man, I don't even know how. Well, I'll put it this way. So he called. I don't know. You probably hadn't seen this yet, but him and
But listen, Rev,
yeah,
I don't follow that. I don't follow that 50. Even when I was outside, I didn't watch that 50.
I know.
I'm a grown ass man. I'm gonna listen to 54.
I know. Trust me. I said the same thing, though, Dex. I said the same thing. That's why I sit there and said I have to cut up the bingo card, because there's no way in the world, bro. No way in the world.
You can't. Don't just get Reverend. You can't cut that. You got to burn that shit up.
I got it. But
cutting it up. You got to burn that card.
But I got to tell you. I got to tell you what he did, though.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what he did, because we're talking about, right? Because the conversation that we're on right now, we're talking about black Republicans, right?
Yes, sir.
So what Nick did, Nick got into. He put a foot into Jason Whit. You know who Jason Whitlock is, right?
I know. Sausage fingers. Yeah.
Oh.
Sonny Johnson. Shout out to my dear friend Sonny Johnson. How are you, sweetheart? I hope you listen to this. Oh yeah, Sonny Johnson. Sonny Johnson cold as ice, bro. That's my new name. I take off. Yeah.
So Nick went on this tirade. So Jason Whitlock and Nick Fuentes is going at each other, correct? They're yeah. Trust me, it's hilarious, dude. It is. Okay. You're sitting here going, wait a minute. You got a black supremacist and a white supremacist fighting each other. Okay. But Nick called Jason Whitlock a token, right?
Okay.
So he's like the only reason that you're even relevant right now is because of guilty whiteness needs you in their corner, so you can be there to be the buffer for when they're feeling guilty to say that they are not racist. That's the only reason. Yeah. And Nick, he knocked it out of the park, dude. He killed it. Wow. And so I'm sitting here going, oh my God. I did not see that on the bingo card, that I would actually agree with something that Nick Fuentes said.
Yeah, but here's the flip side of that. I mean, Nick Fuentes doesn't get that many points for saying that, because that's an obvious forever. So, I'm like, breaking news, water is wet. I mean, yeah, okay, great, yeah, cool story, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I mean, that's like, yeah,
yeah, but Nick said the quiet part out.
And it's not even. Yeah, he said out loud. Yeah. Well, but here's the thing. To be fair, he did. But again, we've been saying that line for a long time.
Yeah, but they don't listen to us, though, Dexter.
Jason Whitlock. Yeah, well. Yeah, I mean, but how? Yeah, that's true. But think about it. It's like, but the fact that they don't listen to us, but they start listening to some city like Nick Fuente, that's not progress. That ain't progress. That's just, that's just okay. He's the flavor of the week, whatever. I mean, listen, on the deal, right? When we talk about the usual suspects, look, I think, look, let me even critique what he said a little bit. I think that it's not even so much a matter of guilt. I think it's a matter of, like, people like the usual suspects. We talk about Jason, we talk about Larry Elder, we talk about Candace Owens, what have you. I mean, they're useful for raising money, and that's what they're useful for. They raise money, right? Okay. And listen, they're very good at that. They're very good at kind of getting engagement, social media engagement, and raising money. All right. So, is it that, like, the Republicans feel guilty? I don't know. I know that they find them useful. They find, Whitlock and Owens and Elder and other people, that they find them useful. I don't know. I don't know if they feel guilty. And honestly, here's another thing. See, you got to be careful when these sissies start talking, because again, Nick Fuentes right away, he goes to the feelings. He's like, well, they feel. I don't give a shit who feels guilty or doesn't feel guilty. I don't care. I'm not interested. Again, to me, it's very plain. I want liberals and progressives who are running our cities to lose. That's it. Because I don't like their agenda. I don't care who feels guilty. I don't care who feels that kind of way. I don't care who's fighting with their mom. I don't care whose marriage is fucked up. I don't care. And
right.
This whole thing, what else people feel? But that's typical sissy talk. So I'm not surprised Nick Fuentes said that. It's like, hey, bro, we're at war. Are you sure? Like, who do I want fighting in my sector? See, it's because, bro, let's bring it back, right? Let's bring it back. We have again, American cities where liberals and progressives have their foot on the neck of the people, where they are squashing innovation, they're squashing people's native hustle, they're putting downward pressure on economic activity that could help bring these places back to virtuous life, which is what we want. Okay, that's the problem. And on the other side, you have these liberals and progressives who have been pushing, and who are still trying to push this agenda that's full of luxury beliefs like feminism and this whole gender madness and mutilating children and all this dark satanic shit. Okay, I want those people to lose, right? And what I say to my conservative brethren is, if you want those people to lose as well, then you can't just challenge them in red states, dummy. That's it. If you want them to lose, you have to challenge them everywhere. Because why? Because they are everywhere. And because their agenda is global. You said it. I talk to some conservatives and will wax poetic about, well, they want a one world government and a global this and a global that and all these big bureaucracies and the deep state, whatever. But then they want to turn around and then say, yeah, but we're only going to fight in these zip codes. Everywhere else, we give up. I'm like, you sound stupid. You sound stupid right now. Is it global or is it not? Oh, the third communist the third socialist international said this and da-da-da, and Antonio Gramsci wants to destroy society by destroying common sense, and this is a global thing. So let me get this straight. It's a all-pervasive, global thing that's happening, right? It's against our interests. You only want to fight in the zip codes that you like.
Right.
You sound stupid. That's what I say to my conservative brethren. You sound stupid right now. And again, you sound like losers. And again, be a loser all you want. I just don't want losers around me, bro. I'm sorry. No. Go lose by yourself. Go hang out with Candace Owens and them and lose in that arena. I want to hang out with you, Reverend. I want to hang out with you, with Carl, with Sonny, with Corey, with all these people who are actually trying to win. So, yeah, Jason Whitlock, Fuentes gets points for being verbally clever, right? He gets points for being clever. But again, at the end of the day, so what? Many sissies are very clever. I mean,
right.
Arguing with a sissy, yeah, they get some good one-liners off. Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, what are they going to do? Nothing.
Nothing. That's true.
Like for actual results, Reverend, you need men of action, not men of talk, not sissies of talk. You need men of action. So that's what I say about what's his face, Fuentes. I mean, yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, because let's be honest too. Anything bad he says about a black person, his crowd is going to be all over that. So God bless him. I mean, no problem.
That's true. But he was.
So you want a rhetorical point,
so we'll give him a point. Is that what you're saying? We'll give him a point for knowing what. We'll give him a point for knowing what we already knew.
I guess half a point, right?
Half a point. Okay, so we'll give him
for knowing some shit late. You have to give him half a point.
Well, we'll give Nick a half a point for knowing what we already knew. But I'm just saying, it just shocked me because he said the quiet part out loud. We knew that. They just would never say it. Would never be truthful with it. Same thing with Candace. Well, Candace Owens. Candace Owens is trying to come back home now. You didn't know that, did you? Oh yeah, Candace.
She's trying to come back.
She's trying to come back, but everybody's like, no. We remember what you did. We remember. Everybody's like, no, because we remember what you did. We remembered that. We remembered that we were running and you told Master where we went. Yeah. So yeah, Candace trying to come home now because you got these conservatives talking about, wow, what happened to when she stopped dogging black people. It's funny how they put it. They go, "Oh, what happened to Candace?"
What happened to Candace?
I can tell you what happened to Candace. Candace stopped dogging black people. So now y'all asking what happened to Candace. Yeah. So we knew, like I said, between what Nick Fuentes says and what's going on with this situation with Candace, we knew it already. We were just waiting until they told the truth. That's the problem.
But listen,
you have 1 minute left.
I don't have the internet in here, so when I come back, I want to hear exactly how she's trying to come home. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
That sounds like that'd be interesting. I'm gonna drop and come back, and we'll pick it up.
All right, we'll see you in a minute.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
The caller has hung up.
Hey, now, again, for those, like I said, who has joined us in the middle of this thing, we are talking to Dexter Taylor. Dexter Taylor calls us on Sundays. This is what we do with Dexter on Sunday. Carl is in the background, always throwing things out, always putting stuff up for us in the whole nine. So that's how we get this whole thing together. So if you got a tweet or something saying Dexter is on, that's Carl doing his thing in the background. So every now and then he jumps in and says something, but usually Carl is doing what he does, and so we definitely appreciate him for doing that. So we want to put that out there. So Dexter we usually get probably about 33 minutes on the top side with Dexter, and then he has to hang up and then call back. And then we go from there. So right now we're in an intermission. We're waiting for him to do what he does there. He talks to us from a computer. So then we wait for him to give us a call back, and then we can keep going here with everything. So again, we thank each and every one of you all pretty much for coming and hanging out with us. For those who just hopped in and missed my plea, plea to you to Just throw out a letter. I mean, to Pam Bondi, and you don't have to write a long letter or anything of that sort. It could be something short. Just ask her if she heard. I mean, because we got almost 800 people in here with us tonight, and if 800 people can send her a letter, just asking her a simple question: have you ever heard of Dexter Taylor? Do you know of Dexter Taylor? And then hit send. That's it. I mean, it's people. It's that simple. It's that simple. So.
And by the way, you know, I heard you talking, Rev, about the region of Pam Bondi. I think that's a great idea. I'll remind people that, you know, the Department of Justice, the Department of Justice has now officially constituted that civil rights Second Amendment task force. And I would guess that if Harmony Dillon is not running point, she's very close to running point. She's not the commanding officer. She's the XO, because of course she's the head of the Civil Rights Division of it, and she's just been confirmed. The Solicitor General, I believe, has also been confirmed. Right. So now they're fully tooled up, and I would remind people that that, you know, my lawyer knows Harmony Dillon, and she knows him. So, yeah, I would encourage everyone to do just what you said, Rev, to write to the Department of Justice, write to Pam Bondi, write to Harmony Dillon, write to whoever. But
did you say Harvey Dillon?
Harmeet. They're Harmeet, last name Dillon, Dillon. Harmeet Dillon.
Harmeet.
She is the head of
Dillon.
the Civil Rights Division at DOJ. Yes, sir.
Harmony Dillon. Yeah. So if we can get you all just to send them an email. I mean, that's it. And then you don't have to. You don't have
social
to.
Media.
Huh?
Or tag them on social media.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. You don't have to write a whole full page or any. If you want to, don't get me wrong. Now I'm not saying that you don't. You know. Go if you want to write a full page. If you know Dexter's story and you know what happened to him, if you know how he was railroaded, and you want to add that in there, please do. Don't get me wrong. But for somebody like me who, you know, is short-minded, you know, we just I sent an email to Pam as soon as we Dexter put that out there. I sent her an email and I just asked her a simple question. Do you know of Dexter Taylor? That's all I did. Put Dexter's name down there, hashtag Dexter Taylor, and boom, I sent it off to her. That's it. That's all I did, right? And hopefully she sees that and she opens it, or whoever opens her email. But if we can get, like I said before, what I understand about politicians is this: they understand numbers, meaning a lot of people, and they understand money. We have no money to send her, so I need you in numbers to send that to her. Like I said, we got 800 people in here with us tonight, and if 800 people can send that to her, that will show a strong sense of solidarity.
Exactly. And by the way, feel free to send, you know, there's a bunch of links to my content. You know, I've been on a bunch of stuff from InfoWars to Dana Lash's podcast. Shout out to Dana Lash. I've talked with Chris from National Association for Sunrise. I've talked with the Armed Catholic. I've talked with Sonny Johnson a few times on Sirius Patriot Radio. I've talked with Viva Fry several times. So, you know, there's lots of content out there. You can grab a link, send an email, include the link. You know, again, the main thing is to focus on is that this is a civil rights matter, because it is a civil rights matter. You know, and again, their focus is already I mean, I can't remember, Reverend, the last time we had a Department of Justice that was actually willing to look at the Second Amendment as something that protects a civil right. It's extraordinary. And so we should take advantage of this. We should take advantage of this energy and this focus and just get them to keep New York in front of mind. I think that, like I said, they're looking into California's business right now because, let's face it, in terms of an anti-2A state, I would say California is probably the very worst. But they'll be along directly. They should swim on through any. No,
I don't think California is ever gonna.
It's the worst.
Oh my God! It is unbelievable, dude. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. But listen. When you say it's not ever good, don't say that, because think about it. That's the stuff. If you looked at Mississippi in 1940 versus Mississippi today, it's night and day. So a lot of these regimes, right, that we think are so durable. They're not durable at all. They're just powerful. But power isn't always durable. Sometimes power is very fragile. Sometimes power is very fragile. All it needs is a little push. And by the way, very often when you see governments that are so heavy-handed, right, and so irrational, often they're that way because they're nervous. They're nervous. They don't really have a leg to stand on, And so I think California could certainly turn around. Of course it could. Look, just like it turned the other way, I never thought that for example, in New Mexico, you'd be looking at a governor who was like anti-2A. I never thought that like Colorado would start to turn purple. There's all these states that have gone the other way that have gone from being red to blue. Okay, so if it can change one way, it can change the other way. Don't look at how bad the place is as a measure of whether or not it can change.
Oh, no. I wasn't looking at how bad. California is crazy. That's
yes, 100%. Madness.
they crazy. That's different, Dexter. They crazy.
It's different. But yeah, we gotta get in there. Gotta get in there and fight like we never were. But let me bring it back to Candace Owens. You said Candace Owens is trying to come home. Now, how is she trying to come home exactly? What is old girl up to right now?
Well, one of the things she's doing is she's going after the Jewish people. She's going after the Jews like you wouldn't believe. And some of the things she said.
Now, hang on a second. Is she or is she just going after Israel, the government of Israel?
Yeah.
To me, it's different.
Well, she's going after them too.
Okay.
Anything Jewish, she's got something to say about them. And yeah, and it haven't been good. So she left us alone. She left us alone, and now she's over there messing with Ben Shapiro and all them. That she done pissed them people off, and now they want her gone. They're telling.
Do you have any more specifics? Because look, let's face it, Ben Shapiro gets pissed off when the sun rises in the east. So what? I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think of the name of that. She's been going back and forth with this rabbi. Apparently, he has a allegedly. Let me say that he runs an adult store.
I know who this is. This is Rabbi. Yeah, that guy's disgusting. His name is Rabbi Shmuley.
Oh, that's him. Yeah. So she's been pissing him off a little bit. And I don't think she said anything about the kid that stabbed the black kid that stabbed the white kid yet. I don't think she said. Yeah.
In other words, she hasn't weighed in on that yet. That's unusual.
Right. That's what we've been saying. Something everybody's talking about. The white people are running around talking about something's wrong with her because usually, like she did Ahmaud Arbery.
She'd be reliable. Yeah, she'd be a reliable source of bullshit. Yeah,
exactly. So she hadn't done her normal thing. So they're all running around going, what's wrong with her? Did something happen? She's not the same, And I'm sitting there going,
well, look.
she ain't dog black people. So that's that. Y'all.
That's what you got a problem with.
Yeah.
Problem. You're like, Candace, we need you, Candace.
Yeah.
So listen. I gotta say, look. I mean, if you're going after this rabbi who runs an adult store with his daughter, if I'm not mistaken, his daughter's a partner in the business.
That's him. Okay.
To me, that's not going after the Jews. That's going after one kind of degenerate human being. Which he is. Come on, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, bro, it's like he deserves to be going after, in my opinion. Again, because of what he's doing, not because of what size hat he wears, because of what he's doing.
Sure.
Look, same thing with your boy Ben Shapiro. I think you should go after him if he's doing the wrong shit. If he's saying the wrong shit, yeah, people should go after him. And if and when people do, that's not go after the Jews. That's going after Ben Shapiro. It's like, so that's what I think about that. But I do think it's funny that they're like, what? Does she have the cancer? She's not talking black folks.
She ain't talking about black folks. Yeah. So my bingo card is done for the year. Mm-hmm. I'm just completely. Well, once Duke lost, that definitely put it over.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah,
the rest of people. A bunch of people in here lost money on that one. So
yeah, I lost a little money on it myself. So
you could have burned that bingo card in the fire.
Yeah, it's going in the fire. So two people, my Duke Blue Devil lost. I'm cracking up at the whole white people Candace Owens things, and I actually agreed with Nick Fuentes. I'm losing it, dude. I'm losing it. There's gonna be an alien ship that's gonna land tonight, Dexter, and I'm getting on it. That's all.
It's like, listen, I need a little vacation right here.
I need a vacation. I need to get off Earth right now. That's all I'm saying. I need to get off. Right now, I need to get off Earth. Yeah. I go.
Oh my goodness!
I figure I go.
Since we were talking about Nick Fuentes, let me say so. I said half a point for at least saying something that I got to take away some points from him for being a snitch.
Oh wow!
In other words, look, if you're a federal asset, you're supposed to know all this shit. So you're supposed to be well informed. You're supposed to be well informed. So you don't get too many points for information. Like information is just, and yeah, I actually do. I talk shit, but I do actually. I think it's fairly certain that Nick Fuentes is a federal asset. That seems very, very obvious to me.
Oh, he's a setup. He's a setup, is what you're saying.
Well, no, I think he really believes. No, I know. I think he really believes what he says. I think at some point, basically the feds were like, "Hey, listen, we can make a bunch of this potential heat against you go away if you just work with us." And the reason, by the way, I say that is because the same reason, like you look at a guy like Ray Epps, right? And you're like, okay, based on what Ray Epps did on January 5th and 6th, and everything that has not happened to him, you're like, yeah, Epps is an asset, obviously. Okay, well, same thing. If you go look at what Nick Fuentes was doing on January 6th, he was talking about, oh, yeah, we got to go kick down those barriers and da-da-da-da and push the cops aside and so on and so on. Ain't nothing happened to him. And he's supposedly already, and I say supposedly because I don't know, he's supposedly already on some kind of federal, some kind of no-fly list, which, again, I don't necessarily believe it. I'm just saying that is what it said. So I put those two things together. I'm like, hold on a second. It's people who weren't even on the Hill who got fucked up in that bullshit. And you mean he was there and telling people to kick down barriers on a hot mic and no one came and talked to him? Okay, he's an asset. An asset.
Oh, Nick was at the Capitol?
Yeah.
Oh.
Unless I badly unless I badly misread the thing that I saw about him at the Capitol.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was at the Capitol. He gave a speech. He gave a speech to a bunch of brothers or whatever they call themselves that week. And it's, yeah, we got to go kick down the barriers and this and that and this and that.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So again, now, if I'm, you can go fact check me. If I'm wrong about that, then I take it back. But that is how I understood that story. So now, again, if you were on the Hill saying that, and you didn't get swept up, right? Well, then you're an asset, bro. I mean, I'm talking. And by the way, it shouldn't be surprising because, again, a lot of the people who say the most extreme shit turn out to be assets.
Yeah, that's
just
true.
how it is.
No,
I mean, it ain't, right? It's not any kind of, you think about black folks too. These are some black bitch look in your space. Like, we need to, okay, Smith, calm down. Relax.
Pull it back. Pull it back a little bit.
Pull it back. Yeah, pull it back a little bit. When with all that, calm down. So same thing with this guy. Like, yeah, I don't be surprised. That's kind of how they move, right? Like they get these people saying all this extreme shit. Yeah, attack signal, and with the next thing you get swept up. Oops. You know what I'm saying? So, that's my take on that.
Well, just to let you know, we are what's today? Yeah. So on the 24th of this month will be the big kickoff to our run for governor and lieutenant governor. So we're getting ready. We had all our powwow meetings and things of that sort. Getting ready to get this thing kicked off, so we can get ourselves out there and start talking to people, and hopefully we can get some votes, and I'm hoping that I can get some of my black brothers and sisterings to turn out to actually, because we were pitiful in the vote this election. It was really bad. And we usually don't show up, especially when it's a off year of a presidential election. We don't show up. And the funny part about it is, and I'm talking just here in Minnesota, I can't speak, well, I can speak for Tennessee because I've talked to black people in Tennessee, and I've talked to black people in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I've talked to black people in Charlotte, in Charleston, South Carolina. But for right now, I'm not going to use a wide brush, but I know the black people here in the state of Minnesota is awful. I'm talking awful when it comes to go voting, but we're loud when we're bitching and moaning and playing the victim, right? So now you got a black man running for lieutenant governor. I want to see how the black community turns out for me.
Well, I think they're going to turn out. I think that they're going to turn it. They turn out to you. It's not going to be just because you're black, it's going to be because you actually have something to say. See, that's the other thing. Like, I'll give you an example. Like Larry Elder ran for mayor of what? Oakland? No, he ran for governor.
Governor
of California.
Yeah, he did.
That was a disaster, right? Why? Because he didn't have anything to say. In other words, we can't expect. Well, look, we have to be real about it, right? We can't expect black folks to show up just because a black person puts his name on a ballot. Because again, Jason Whitlock couldn't win chief dog catcher in my city. And it's not because there's no black people. It's because he has nothing to say. He has nothing to say. I think you have something to say. And by the way, let's be honest about this. Reverend, is that you, even better than having something to say, you have a track record. You have a track record, right? So I think to the extent people should turn out for you, it's going to be because you have a track record. Like you've been there and you've done that. That's what matters. And so that's what I think. That's why I think people should turn out for you. and that's why I hope they do turn out for you. Um, you represent the kind of thing that we've always been talking about, that you and I talk about, that me and Sonny Johnson talk about, me and Carl and I talk about. Okay, here's someone who's actually, walked the walk as far as conservative principles, as far as actually serving his community for real, you know, um, and not everyone can say that. So that's what I'll say about that. And by the way, let me just jump on something else you said, because I want to remind people that, when you said about black folks and turnout in Minnesota, it's not only true of Minnesota, or what you say in Minneapolis. It's not only true of Minneapolis. In many, if not most, of our major cities, what we find is that black turnout in elections tends to be very, very low. This is one of the reasons why so many of our conservative brethren keep talking nonsense, because they don't know how to read a turnout graph. That's the problem. Because what they always say is, black people always vote for Democrats. But then if you go and run the numbers, as I did, because that's what I've done for a living for the past few decades, is run the numbers, right? Literally write software to run the numbers. Yeah? What you find is that the people driving the election, in terms of the black demographic, is a majority of a minority. You're getting less than 50% turnout in black voters, okay? And most of those who turn out end up voting for Democrats. But you have this whole swath of the black population that's simply tuned out of these elections. They're disgusted.
Yeah.
They've had it.
Yep.
Well, can you blame them? I mean, is it surprising? Come on, right? So this is the thing. I keep having to remind people. It's like, stop looking at this minority of people who. Well, first of all, go learn to read a turnout graph. That's the first thing. So don't just show me the demographic numbers and say, well, this shows that black people are Democrats. No. Go, find a turnout graph and learn how to read it, and then learn how to make the correct inference from what those numbers say to what the demographic numbers say, and realize that you have in many cases a majority of the black population that is simply tuned out. They're waiting for someone to show up and actually say something real.
Nah, that's true.
So yeah, so that's what it is, and again, that goes for everywhere, So that's I'm hoping you guys. Well, I was hoping you guys win, but separate from that, I'm hoping you reach a lot of new people, and yeah, I hope you strike a blow for grassroots conservatism, for populist conservatism. That, to me, again, that's the most exciting thing about the MAGA movement as such. Not that it's a Trump thing, but it's a grassroots thing. It's a populist conservatism thing. Yeah, that's the thing that we need to be looking at.
Well, that's what we're shooting for.
Yes, sir.
Because this is going to be totally grassroots. I mean, it's going to be, internet, word of mouth. If we get TV commercials and things of that sort, they're going to be few to come by. I'm talking, we're going to get a flatbed truck and just go all over. Get on the back of that flatbed truck and just start speaking to whomever is at Home Depot, whomever is at Lowe's, whomever is at, any grocery store, any place at a large gathering. That's where we're going to be. So those are the things we're going to hit. College campuses, talking to the young people and seeing what the young people need and want. You know what I mean? So
listen, don't forget to hit up the trade schools. Don't forget to hit the trade schools.
Yeah.
Trade schools are a very good source of good sense. You know what I'm saying? And the guys coming out of trade schools, they're the guys who actually want to get out there and hustle and make money. And they're going to be, I predict, very receptive to your message. So don't forget those trade schools. I think the trade schools might be more important.
Yeah.
Although, hit them both, of course. But yeah, trade schools, that's a big thing. Hit up the trade unionists, guys who are trying to get out there and do something. Guys who have an idea to start something, to start some business. But the problem is, most of what they want to do is illegal because the Democrats have the whole thing sold up to where they basically impose ruinous costs on you merely for starting a business, merely for getting a food truck going, or whatever else it is. This is why I keep coming back to it. It's like there's so much enterprise, there's so much desire to get out there and turn your skill sets into prosperity. And in most cases, you find that it's the government, it's the state that is stepping on that hard. And yeah, I think it'll be a great day for conservatism when conservatives show up and point that out. When they say, hey, there's no reason why there should be a licensing requirement if you want to cut your friend's hair on the side and make money.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to pay money to the state for permission to cut people's hair and a payment for it. That's madness. Yeah? Yeah, I think people are receptive to that, bro. I really do. So yeah.
So we're gonna see how this thing plays out. I mean, like I told him, I'm in for the long haul, and we're gonna see if we can shake up Minnesota and pretty much the world, because our chances of winning are zero to zero. People think, but I do believe there's a lot of more people out there that is saying it's time for. Man, we have. I don't know if you had an opportunity to take a look at it or even keep up with the fraud, how much money that a group of people here in Minnesota has stolen from the taxpayers of Minnesota. And the Democrats basically sat back and let it happen. They sat back and watched it go down.
Of course.
And
that's how they do.
Yeah, exactly. So that group of people who have enriched themselves and put money in their pockets, that group of people have to answer for that. And as long as there's Democrats that are in charge, they will not have to. Well, that's going to change.
That's right. That's right.
That's going to change.
So yeah. Speaking of, what was I thinking about? You mentioned, I don't know. No. I was thinking about, we were talking about the tariffs earlier, yeah, and we were talking about, American manufacturing. I think that there's a lot of stuff that's not being said that should be said about the ability to start bringing back American manufacturing. I wouldn't, like, a lot of this stuff can happen in the cities. It's like you think about, okay, it's not necessarily true that you're going to flip a switch and start making iPhones in Minneapolis. It doesn't have to be like that. We can start with saying, okay, if you want to make, just sit with your people and run a thought experiment. What would it take to sit and actually make T-shirts or make guitar pedals or make some kind of thing that you could reasonably tool up and make, maybe with a 1 or 2 or 3 person operation, small manufacturing,
right?
The emphasis being on small, right?
You have 1 minute left.
What would it take for a small manufacturer to get something going in your city? And the question is, what state-imposed barriers are there to getting that going? And then, you could start to run against those barriers. You say, okay, no, we want to eliminate that because we want to bring manufacturing back. And it's going to start with the small and the local. 1, 2, 3, 4 people in a space somewhere making something and selling it and making profit. I just heard minute again, so I got to jump off and come back. I'll be right back.
Okay, you want to do one more? Is that cool?
Yes, sir.
Sounds like a deal. We'll see you on the backside.
The caller has hung up.
Well, let's do this here. I did not have. I did. Like I said, Dexter and I, we get on this thing and we just start talking about something. Because usually what I try to do is I try to look at the news and look at things and come up with things that Dexter and I are going to discuss and talk about. But like I was telling him, I just did not have an opportunity to do that today. I've been just so dog tired. And I knew Dexter was going to call today, but I fell asleep. I was knocked out. My wife ended up going, "Hey, your phone's ringing." Dude, it's Dexter. It's like, oh, got his jet downstairs. So I ran down here before I wrote anything down or had anything to talk to Dexter about, things of that sort. But that was like I said, my only thing that like I said, really wanted to get his 2 cents on. But and like I always tell people, you guys, if you want to talk about something or ask a question or something, just put it on my timeline or put it on Carl's page or whatever. Because whatever my last update I did, that's why I need Dexter out of prison so he can come here and fix this thing. But whatever my last update I did on my streaming platform, it took out. Oh, okay. So it took out my abilities to see you guys if you guys are making some type of comments or asking questions or saying hi to Dexter. I don't know where it went. I have zero clue where it went. And that happened during my last update. So if you have anything to say or want to say something or anything of that sort, just put it on mine or Carl's timeline, one or the other. We'll ask that question or let Dexter know you guys are out there. Like I said, we're floating this Sunday with well over 800 people. So we appreciate you guys for coming around and hanging out with everything.
Yes, sir.
Let's do this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we got Dexter back in the house for one more, and we'll do that. And well, Easter's coming up.
Yes, sir.
So that's going to be very, very interesting to sit around and wait. Well, I know what I was going to tell you about, which which I'm sure you didn't know, but I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Well, there was a helicopter crash. And
in New York, in the East River, yeah.
Oh, you know about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
saw it on the newswire. Yeah.
Okay. But like always, we got these fools like, Laura Ingraham, which is someone who is so pathetic. Now, if I had on my bingo card anything about Laura Ingraham that I agreed with her, okay, then it's time to go jump off. It's time to find the tallest building in Minneapolis and just jump.
Wow.
But this knucklehead put out there, tried to make an assumption that this airplane pilot who was black, helicopter pilot, it was a DEI thing. Yeah. So she pushed that button and got everybody, got everybody all upset, which she knew she was going to do. She knew what she was doing it for, which is, like I said, which is pathetic. And we just don't have enough people that don't look like you and I to call people like her out. And
well, you know something?
They get away with this crap, though, bro.
Here's the thing, really. I mean, I'm being real now, Reverend. Like, I think the thing to do is like, if we respond to that at all, respond to it with momentary ridicule and move on. I'm sorry, because the amount of bullshit that's out there.
Right.
It's like, if you devote any serious time to quote unquote calling these people out, bro, you'll be doing that forever. I mean, especially in the age of social media, right? I mean, because let's be honest, Laura Ingraham said it. There's like thousands of other people who were saying that same thing on Twitter, for example.
Yeah, true.
Many of them might have said it before she did. Okay, my thing is this. I long ago, I kind of resigned myself to not engaging with this stuff. unless it's to ridicule it, And, look, a little humor always brightens your day, and then you move on because what are we going to, we're going to persuade Ingram what she said is simple. She probably knows it's bullshit. It's the way she gets engagement. Okay, so, that's how she gets down. We have enough serious shit to do and enough serious shit to talk about that I'm just, really, it's like Lauren, okay, sweetheart. I mean, your job is to read aloud in front of a camera. I mean, really? I'm always hearing this DEI shit from people who, and let's be honest, I'm 150% opposed to DEI. I think DEI is poison. I think we have every reason to distrust poison pills from people who say they love us. Because after all, people in the government talk about DEI and people in the private sector who want to grift off that. They're big on that, and I'm like, well, if you're really so gung ho about quote unquote advancing black people, first of all, that's weird. It's like why are you so invested in me all of a sudden? Who the hell are you? You like me? I don't want you to like me. Get away from me, freak. That's one thing. But the other thing is that a lot of these private sector companies, if they were really so gung-ho, they wouldn't need the government to pass a law. They wouldn't need Biden to order them to diversify. They would just do it. Okay. So my thing is, if they're going to do it, they're not going to do it. I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, our message to our own needs to be, put not that trust in princes, and, we can meet the standard. Whatever it is, as long as it's a fair standard, fairly applied, we can meet the standard. And if our numbers are low, then we're going to go to the schools and go wherever, and we're going to say, something, you should get interested in aviation and hit the books, learn everything you can. And look, part of the problem is that in some of these industries where you don't have a lot of black folks, part of the problem is not that there are official gatekeepers saying no black people allowed. That used to be the situation. It's not that now. Part of the problem is that not enough of us are showing up. I know this for a fact. Remember, I worked in the software industry for 30-some-odd years. Some of those years, I was a hiring manager. So I got to review resumes. I had to talk to interviewees. And it was simply not enough of us showing up. And I don't just mean showing up. I mean showing up with the right skill sets to be competitive. Now, that's simply a matter of us going and acquiring the skill sets. That's all. And that's entirely within our power to do. 100%. We just have to take it seriously. We have to take it seriously, that's all. And we can acquire the skill sets we need to be competitive. See, I'm on that Booker T. Washington timeline. It's like, this is the job. This is the job. Right? It's that we have to become competitive. But again, to become genuinely competitive means that the state is not helping you out. You're actually competing. And so when we actually start competing, we're going to start losing for a while. Of course. Because if there's very few of us in industry X, then, we got to get the numbers up. And that can't happen overnight. But it means that people have to actually, be sitting around in junior high school or high school saying, I want to fly helicopters, or I want to fly fixed-wing aircraft, or I want to do whatever. And then again, we have to figure out, okay, the money thing, it's very expensive to learn how to fly fixed-wing aircraft. It's very expensive to learn how to fly rotorcraft. So if we don't have that much generational wealth at our disposal, for whatever reason, that's how it is.
He was an army ranger. He was a ranger.
Problems. He was a ranger, so he learned. So the government paid for his flight training, right? Yeah. Okay, so you see what I'm saying? No, it's like, okay, so if that's what we want to do. It's like, listen, man, you might have to join the Air Force or join the Marines or whatever, and go out for aviation to get inside. Whatever it takes, right? We need to just commit to doing that, and commit that, at the end of the day, we are the ones who have to meet the standard. We're the ones who have to get in there and compete, win or lose. If it's 5%, if it's 1%, if it's 30%, whatever the numbers are, stop focusing on the numbers and start focusing on skill sets. How many of us can bring the skill sets to bear? How many of us are out there trying to learn the skill sets? Look, I picked a very expensive thing because we were talking about this aviation accident. But I can tell you, Reverend, and this is really a problem, is that too many black folks who've gone to college, I think it's in part because they went to college, they come out with this warped idea of what it means to be competitive. And they think it means just like saying a bunch of stuff. And I can tell you that, again, as someone who came up in an industry where it takes very little money to start to teach yourself to learn, because I taught myself to write computer software. By the way, in an age where the World Wide Web didn't exist, you couldn't Google your question. You had to buy books. You had to buy books and talk to people, which is what I did. And every bit of money I had to spend, disposable income I spent just about, I bought books and software equipment. That's it. I walked around dressed like a scrub for years. Okay? Like, girls wouldn't take a second look at me. I mean, bad enough I'm funny looking. But girls didn't have the time of day for me. Why? I was spending all my money on books and software. I turned my entire apartment in downtown Brooklyn into a computer lab. I had computers everywhere. I ran my own network cable. I taught myself to crypt network cable. I ran my own email server at one point because my head was always in the book. Listen, if you want something that most people don't have, you have to be willing to do things that most people are not willing to do. And it's a sacrifice. No one has it all. So we have to be honest. And again, forget about Laura Ingram's dumbass, because again, old girl gets paid to read aloud in front of a camera. So I'm not impressed. Okay, but talking for real now, like you know, Reverend, come on, man. They open up a new store selling some of the latest Nike. They open a new Nike store now. It's like black folks are lining up around the block to get the new Nike, whatever. That's a problem. That's a problem.
Got a point.
Because you don't see us lined up to buy the new this, that, or you don't see us grading eBay like I was doing before I went inside for computer servers, you know, so I could build my own data center in my basement. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we just have to know, like, we have to elevate our black nerds. I mean, it's as simple and plain as it. If we want to succeed, we want to compete, we have to, not the government, not Joe Biden, not Kamala Harris, we have to elevate our black nerds. Because as far as that kind of thing is concerned, getting ahead in STEM and so on, they are the tip of the spear. This is doable. I used to work for a company. Well, I can say it. It's Take Two Interactive. Take Two is a parent company of a lot of game companies that people outside would know. Like, if you ever played Grand Theft Auto comes from a show called Rockstar Games. Take Two is a parent company of Rockstar Games. So I was working for Take Two. I was a senior data engineer. You know, crunch numbers for a living. You know, data pipelines and so on and so forth. I remember very early on. I got hired. The CTO actually hired me. He's the last person I talked to. He was like, "Yeah." I remember early on, I got on the company messaging thing, and I looked around, and there was like this thing, this messaging group. It was like Black at Take Two, you know, black folks at Take Two. So I went on there and I introduced myself. Hey, you know, I'm Dexter. I just got hired as a data engineer. I'm doing this, I'm working on this and this and this and that. So it's like, if anyone's interested in data engineering and the kind of tools and techniques we use, just reach out to me, you know, jump on a screen share, you know, do a ride along. I'll answer any of your questions, da-da-da-da-da. It's great to be here, and hope to talk to you all soon. It was on the Black People in Take Two messaging board. Okay, you know how many black folks responded to that?
None, probably.
Zero. Now, hang on a second. These are the same folks who get under, oh, yeah, I can't wait till Juneteenth because we're going to let these crackers know that black, blackity black. Okay, all well and good. But now we talk about skill sets. And I'm like, hey guys, I think they didn't. I know I'm kind of a nerd, but I think they didn't think it's really cool. Da 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 da. Just reach out to me. Blah 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 blah. The one person who replied was a white dude. That's not Laura Ingram's fault, bro. That's on us. You feel me?
That's true.
So that's the shit that we need to get into. We have to go back to that old Booker T. Washington timeline of like, yes, we have been emancipated, so to speak, okay, but ain't no one's gonna love us just on the strength. And no one is going to take us and place us next to them, in terms of in the hierarchy, in the race for economic, economic prosperity, just on the strength. If they do, it's because there's strings attached. So we have to take it upon ourselves. No one else is going to do it for us. We have to take it upon ourselves to go and to become interested. And to seek out those skill sets. And it's going to be hard, and there's going to be racism, and that's life. That's life. No, you know something? If you go, listen, again, I came up as a data engineer wearing a black skin. I know who does and who does not get the benefit of the doubt when there's a question. And it ain't me. Okay, so fucking be it, bro. So be that's life. You know what I'm saying, though, bro? It's like, yes, that's right. Oh, but there's racism. Yes, there is. It's an obstacle because you're running an obstacle course. That's how that works, Rev. You feel me?
That's right.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? That's how that works. Figure it out. Solve the problem. And it's like that's just what we have to do. That's it. Because again, it's no one is coming to save us, Reverend. The Democrats are definitely not coming to save us.
That's never going to happen.
You know what I'm saying? And the Republicans are also not. And listen, why should they? It's our problem. Listen, yes, someone's racism is their problem, but it's our obstacle to get past. And we have gotten past. That's the thing. You never talk about how you have a track record. Bro, Black Americans have a track record. Black Americans have a track record of beating these obstacles. All of them. Including the kinetic ones, including where people were shooting at you for trying to vote. We managed to get through all of that shit. So don't tell me that in 2025, okay, when we have all this disposable income and you have the internet and you can literally type in a question and get 500 answers. Don't tell me anything about structural nothing, bro. No, we're not there yet. So yeah, structural racism, yeah, okay, fine. That is it. We're not there yet. We're talking just about the baseline ability to say, listen, yeah, I want to go out, but I'm going to sit here tonight, hit the books, and teach myself this, and then jump on this chat room and jump in this email circle and what have you, and figure out this code here because I want to learn this shit here. This is interesting to me. Yeah, I want to go and buy the latest pistol. I could look nice for the ladies, but what I'm going to buy is this piece of software. I'm going to buy another computer because I'm going to build my own. I'm going to build my own server, or I'm going to do this. And that's on us. No one else can do that for us. And do we have a generational wealth disadvantage? Yes, we do. We have to overcome that. Yes, we do. Okay, no one is going to eliminate that advantage for us just because they like us. And if they tell you like you, they're lying. Up to something. Oh, no, I love black people. I want to, no. You're lying. You're up to something. Distrust that particular flavor and keep it moving. So that's what I would say. It's like, Lord, the thing is, we have work to do. Black folks, we have work to do.
Oh, yeah.
And so politics is one thing. Politics means getting people to like you and to trust you. Okay, but this is something different. This is what hard skills we're going to bring to the table. See, part of the problem is we started after the civil rights movement, bro. We started acting like we took our eyes off the prize. So black folks had been investing in all these hard skills, medicine, law, accounting, machine tooling, so on and so forth. And then at a certain point, right, we very quickly started acting like we already arrived, and now it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go study. I'm gonna go do ethnic studies, because now that was the thing. It's like, I'm gonna do ethnic studies, and da, da, da. And so we got this whole generation of graduates from higher education who are only fit to work in nonprofits and the government. That's a problem. We need to act as if we are recent immigrants. We're not recent. We need to act like we are recent immigrants and focus on things that can help you make a living, be independent. So we can get the economic situation right, so we can drive the politics with the economics. And then maybe we could sit back and say, yeah, I'm going to go study ethnic studies or urban, whatever, da, 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 da. But right now it's like, what kind of job can I prepare myself for where I don't have to go work for the government? I don't have to work for the educational, the whole self-licking ice cream for the educational system. Or I can do something else, And so, yeah, every job you can think of, aviation, high tech, machining, tooling, software, this, chemical engineering, what have you. It's gonna have to be us. Yep. We're gonna have to put the work in. And listen, if we do, we can succeed. Whatever the standard is, we can meet it. Anyway, end of rant. I've been ranting for a while, but yeah, that's what I feel about that.
No, but everything. No, but everything you just said is definitely correct. And what you just said is pretty much my way to open the door, because what I call it here in Minnesota, I call it the blue wall, right? There's 3 places in Minnesota that has all the votes. There's Duluth, there's Minneapolis, and then there's Hennepin County, and then there's Rochester. So I've got to figure out how to break into the blue wall, because that's why the Republicans here can't win statewide, because of those 3 areas. They cannot win. That's why Trump did not win Minnesota, because of those 3 areas. Once you get outside those 3 areas, it's all red. Pretty much, it's red as red can be. But
a lot of states like that.
Right? But because of those 3 areas, that's reason. So I've got to figure out how to get, and in those 3 areas are what? Largely black people. So I've got to go in there and basically say exactly what you just said to them.
Yeah. And listen, by the way, exactly. And listen, by the way, I didn't just talk the talk. Just for people listening to me, it's not like I just said that shit. I used to give books away, bro. Like back when books were a thing, and I was like buying books with all my disposable income to learn. But I had a big ass book collection. I'd be giving books. It's like, oh, hey man, you should. What do you do? Oh, you're in school, but listen, man, whatever else you're doing, you should really learn this computer shit because da da da. Like C++. If you learn this language, SQL. If you learn this language and you can go and work in da 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 da, you can make money. Whatever else you do, you can always make money. I used to give books away, bro. I used to talk to people who did some. I'm studying business administration. I was back in the 90s. That was a big thing. So all the black folks you talk to, it's like, I'm studying business administration. I'm like, bro, that's nice and everything, but study these hard skills too. Here, take this book. I give away books. More recently, I was giving away free training. There are people out there, they know who they are, who like, they come and ask me, and they're like, how do you do it? I was like, yeah, okay, jump on a screen share with me right now. I'll take you through my code. And then you can go download it from GitHub because it's open source. It's free. You can download it. But do a ride along with me right quick. I'm going to show you some how I do what I do and what skills you'll need. I will do that shit for free for anyone who would ask. Anybody who would ask. Huh? Okay. And that code is still up. Those videos are still up on YouTube. The few that I made, they're under the Binary Machines channel. Binary Machines, all one word. And you can see I call this series the engine room. And it's like, next is the engine room, and we're talking about, how to build data pipelines using Python and SQL. Here's what blah, 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 blah. Here's how databases work. Here's how this and that works. Right? And I'll write some software. Okay, boom, that's free. It's open source. I would download it, mess with it. Call me if you have problems. I tell mad people, just go download some of my software, mess with it. Call me. Here's my number. Call me if you have a problem. Okay? And it's like one of the few, very few, I'm talking like, I can count them on one hand, but very few black folks that took me up on, hey, check out these skill sets. You can change the situation. There's a black woman from the South. Her name is Antoinette Rogers, maiden name Rogers. She's married now. Shout out to you, Antoinette. She took that, when I told her about databases, she took that and ran. The next time I talked to her, she and her husband, she had gotten married. She and her husband had like a consulting business. So they were like, yeah, let's go. Like, the same databases, what have you. So that's like, that's the spirit we need. That's the spirit we need. And again, with that spirit, we can prevail no matter what, no matter who's in office, no matter who's in Washington, no matter who cuts the budget for what program, we can succeed 100%. I'll land there because I know we're getting low on time.
No problem. Well, let's do this here because we're going into Easter. Is that next? That's next week, right?
Yeah. Because today's Palm Sunday, right? So
yep.
That should be Easter Sunday.
Yep. So we got an Easter program on next Sunday. So I won't be home in time to catch you on next Sunday. But we'll get together the Sunday after next.
Yes, sir.
We'll get you on that there. But to take us out tonight, we're gonna pray out on tonight, right. Knowing this coming up week was what we call a week that has given us the opportunity to be forgiven. If this week had never happened, and what happened at the end of the week had never happened, we all would be damned right now, with no ifs, no ands, no buts. But because he is so good to each and every one of us, he decided to give up his life. Now, I wouldn't have done that for you, Dexter. I'm just letting you know right now.
Yeah, for real.
I wouldn't have been any. Yeah, there you go. I love you, brother, but no, I wouldn't have laid on the cross for you. Ain't that much, right?
No.
I would not lay it on the cross for you, because the minute they showed me the nails and the rivet.
Yeah, I'm like, nah. No.
I would have been pointing. I'd have been. Wait a minute. Isn't that That's Dexter Taylor right over there? I think that's the guy that y'all really looking for. You ain't looking for me. See, I would have been Judas like you wouldn't believe. I would have told on you. Yes, I would have. That's just.
Listen. Like who was it? Was it Peter who said that? I don't know anyone when the Romans showed up. I don't know.
Yeah. Peter, like who?
Officer, I've never seen this Negro in my life.
I don't know Dexter Taylor. What are you talking about? I don't know that. Nope. Ain't never seen him.
Yeah.
What? He walked on water? I wasn't there. Sorry. Not happening.
Sorry, no.
But because he's so good. And he did what he did at the end of the week. I just want to say this here. I want to give him all the praise, all the honor, and all the glory. Father, we come to you tonight with a bowed head and a humble heart. Father, we come to you first and foremost to give you the praise and to say thank you. Thank you for all that you have done for us, and thank you for the things that you're going to do for us. Thank you for the things that you have done for us, Father, that we don't even realize that you done. But because of your grace and your mercy, because of the love that you have for your children, you make sure that no matter what we do, no matter how we do it, Father, you look over us. So we ask you for this week and therefore going forward, Father, to make sure you look over Dexter Taylor. Make sure that whatever he's going through, Father, you let him know that you're right there by his side. You promise each and every one of us that you would never leave us and you would never forsake us, Father. And we want him to understand and want you to open up the roof of that prison right now and blow a mighty wind in and let him know that you are there. that no matter what he does, no matter how he does it, no matter what he's going through, let him know that you are that lily in the valley, that when you walk through the valley, that you're right there with him, no matter when, even though he's going through what he's going through life right now, Father. There are 3 boys that got shoved into a furnace, Father. And you kept them the whole time, that when they was released, they didn't even look like they had been through what they've been through. But Father, we just want you to hold him tight on this week and bring him through everything that he has. In your name, Father, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen, brother.
There we go, bro.
Hey, Reverend, I love you, brother.
Love you back, bro.
Thank you. Thank everyone. Thank everyone who's listening. Thank you, Carl's whole family. And those of you who don't, please follow me on Twitter at Future Radio Cast. And Reverend, we're gonna stay. I believe we're gonna stay on mission. We're gonna stay on point, and we're gonna get through this. And that's just
sir.
Just how we do.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna make sure that happens. So we'll see you in the following 2 weeks. Stay good,
Take
brother.
Care,
love you, bro.
You too.
We'll talk to you later, right? All righty. Bye.
Right, take care. God bless.
God bless you, my friend.
The caller.
All right, people. Again, I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming hanging out with us. Like I said, we won't be here next Sunday, but the Sunday after next, if you're not doing anything, you want to come hang out with us. And again, if you have any questions or anything of that sort, you want to know something, you want to throw something in there, please put that on my page or put it on Carl's page, one or the other, and we will definitely get there with you on that. Hey, Carl, you got anything for tonight before we hang this up? Or did Carl hang up?
Yeah, I got a few things to say.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Let me mute my TV.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to send a shout out to a couple people who donated to the fund for Dexter's phone calls. These phone calls do get expensive, and I do appreciate the help that I can receive. So, shout out to Will, if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, I apologize, but Sofa King is what he used to go by. But Will I'm terrible with names, so I apologize, everybody. And also Fiji also donated. So I really appreciate that. I know Dexter appreciate that, and everybody who hears from Dexter appreciates it. Also, I appreciate everybody that has been listening for the last couple of hours. Both Rev and Dexter can offer some very enlightening commentary, and I appreciate those who share the links and listen to what these 2 great gentlemen have to say. Also, continue to keep Dexter and his family in your prayers. Continue to keep Dexter and his family in your thoughts, as well as Reverend Tim and his family. And I appreciate the concern for my newly started family. We're doing well. Well, man is asleep right now after a fussy day, but he's doing good. As far as Dexter is concerned, if you guys can share whatever links to his interviews, to his articles with someone you know, that'll also be highly appreciated, because of the fact that the name of the game is getting the word out. There are still a lot of people who come across Dexter's name who doesn't even know his story. So, in spaces and in just everyday chat here on Twitter, people out there will hear about a man from New York who was wrongly imprisoned for building his own firearms and don't know the name of that person. His name is Dexter Taylor. So it's very important that you continue to share his story. And that's pretty much it. That's all I've pretty much got to say.
All right. Well, appreciate Carl, and thank you for doing what you do. Also, man, I definitely appreciate that. Because without you, we could not, pull this off. So I thank you, and wishing your family a good Easter and everything on that. So enjoy whether you eat your. Well, we're not having ham this year. We're doing. Everybody's getting a Cornish hen. My wife says so. I can't argue about that with the whole nine. But we will talk to you guys soon. Anyway, hey, y'all have a good night. Like I said, I'm usually here on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Try to get here at 7. Brad will be here. Brad is my running mate who is running for the governor's seat. I am on his ticket running for the lieutenant governor. And he will be here on Wednesday night. We're going to be talking about immigration, how we're going to be dealing with what's going on here in Minnesota, because we got a few places that calls themselves a sanctuary city. No. Anyway, we'll be dealing with that on Wednesday night. So if you're not doing anything, hit me up either Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, one or the other. We'll be talking about something. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you soon. Peace, fam. We're out.